A single father was just doing his job, until she whispered, "Please, don't leave me alone tonight. Please, don't leave me alone tonight." Marcus Rivera froze at the doorway, his red toolbox heavy in his calloused hand. The blonde woman stood across the elegant foyer, her silk robe catching the dim light from the few candles she'd lit during the power outage, her hand pressed against the doorframe as if she might collapse without its support. "Ma'am, Marcus shifted uncomfortably. In 15 years of contracting work, no client had ever asked him to stay overnight. "The roof's secure now. The tarp will hold until morning." "I know." Victoria's voice cracked. "I'm not asking you to. I'm not trying to." She took a shaky breath. "I haven't been alone in this house since the divorce papers were signed. Every night, I hear things, creaking, footsteps. I know it sounds crazy." Marcus studied her face in the candlelight. When he'd arrived 3 hours ago to fix the storm damage, she'd been composed, professional. Now she looked fragile, like the antique photographs he'd helped her save from the flooded office. "It doesn't sound crazy," he said quietly. "After my wife died, I used to hear her voice calling my name." Something shifted in Victoria's expression. "You lost your wife?" "Car accident. 3 years ago." Marcus set down his toolbox. "Left me with a 16-year-old daughter who thinks I don't know she cries herself to sleep sometimes." The wind howled outside, rattling the tall windows. Victoria flinched. "Look," Marcus said, "I've got a teenage daughter at home. Sophia's probably wondering where I am." "Of course." Victoria stepped back, wrapping her arms around herself. "I'm sorry. That was inappropriate. You should go to your family." Marcus pulled out his phone and typed quickly. "Sophia, staying to help client through storm. Home tomorrow. Love you." He hit send and looked up at Victoria. "She's tough. Tougher than me most days. You don't have to. My couch at home has a spring that pokes you in the ribs all night. Your couch looks a lot more comfortable." Marcus managed a small smile. "Besides, this storm's getting worse. Probably safer to wait it out here than drive through Dorchester in this mess." Victoria's shoulders sagged with relief. "Thank you. I have blankets, pillows. Just point me toward that couch." As Victoria bustled around gathering bedding, Marcus wondered what he was doing. He barely knew this woman beyond the basics. Recently divorced, lived alone in this mansion that could fit his entire apartment 3 times over. But something about the way she'd asked, the genuine fear in her voice, reminded him of Sophia during those first terrible months after Maria's death. "Here." Victoria returned with an armful of expensive-looking linens. "There's food in the kitchen if you get hungry. The guest bathroom is down the hall." "Thank you." Marcus began arranging the blankets on the plush sofa. For what it's worth, old houses always make noise, especially during storms. Wood expands and contracts, pipes settle. Usually nothing to worry about. Usually. Victoria lingered in the doorway. "What about the other times?" "The other times, you have someone there to check it out for you." For the first time since he'd arrived, Victoria smiled. "Good night, Marcus. Good night." "Oh!" As her footsteps faded up the grand staircase, Marcus settled onto the couch and stared at the dying flames in the fireplace. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside the house felt peaceful for the first time all evening. He'd made the right choice, staying. Some nights, nobody should have to face alone. His phone buzzed. Sophia had texted back, "Be safe, Dad. See you tomorrow." Marcus smiled and closed his eyes, listening to the old house settle around him like a gentle sigh. "You don't have to bring me coffee every morning," Marcus said, accepting the steaming mug from Victoria's hands. 3 weeks had passed since the storm, and their morning ritual had become as routine as checking his tool inventory. "I make it anyway." Victoria settled into the kitchen chair across from his makeshift workspace. "Besides, you're here at 7. That's earlier than most people are even awake." Marcus tested the coffee. Perfect, as always. "Sophia has first period at 7:30. I drop her off, then come here. Efficient. Tell me about her art portfolio again." She's applying to mass art, but the application fee alone is $200. Then there's the portfolio review fee, transcript fees. Marcus shook his head. Sometimes I think she'd be better off forgetting art school and learning a practical trade. Victoria's cup clinked against the saucer. Art is practical. It's just practical in ways that aren't always obvious. Easy to say when you can afford it. I couldn't always afford it. Victoria's voice carried an edge Marcus hadn't heard before. My grandmother raised me after my parents died. She cleaned office buildings at night to pay for my art classes. Marcus looked up from his coffee. In 3 weeks of morning conversations, Victoria had rarely mentioned her family. She sounds like a strong woman. She was. She said art wasn't a luxury. It was how people make sense of the world. Victoria stood abruptly. I should let you get back to work. That afternoon, Marcus found Victoria in what used to be her home office, now converted to a temporary studio, while he repaired the water damage. She was hunched over a large pad, sketching. "Don't stop on my account," he said, setting up his ladder to fix the crown molding. "It's nothing important." But she didn't close the pad. Marcus climbed the ladder and began working. After a few minutes, he glanced down. "Is that Sophia?" Victoria's pencil stilled. "I hope you don't mind. She was here yesterday when you went to get supplies. We started talking about shading techniques and I just—" Marcus climbed down to look properly. The sketch captured Sophia perfectly, not just her features, but something essential about her, the slight defiance in her eyes, the way she tilted her chin when she was thinking. "This is incredible. She has real talent, Marcus, natural instinct for composition, and her color sense is remarkable for someone her age. She gets that from her mother. Maria could arrange flowers in a way that made our tiny kitchen look like something from a magazine." Victoria's expression softened. "Sophia told me about her mother. She sounds wonderful." She was. Marcus studied the drawing again. How much would it cost to get Sophia proper instruction? Not college, just someone to help her with her portfolio? The going rate for private art instruction is usually $60 to $80 an hour. Marcus's heart sank. Right. Well, she'll figure it out on her own. Marcus. Victoria set down her pencil. What if I worked with her? Not as a teacher exactly, just helping out. No charge. I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm offering. Victoria stood, walking to the window. I haven't taught anyone in over a year. Richard's lawyers made sure I had to quit all my volunteer work, claimed it was a conflict of interest with the divorce proceedings. I miss it. Marcus watched her profile against the afternoon light. Why would you want to help us? Victoria turned back to him. Because Sophia reminds me of myself at her age, hungry to create something meaningful. And because, she paused, because you're both the first people in a long time who've treated me like a person instead of a bank account or a trophy wife. That evening, Marcus arrived home to find Sophia at the kitchen table, surrounded by art supplies he'd never seen before. Dad, look! Sophia held up a small canvas. Mrs. Sterling taught me about color mixing. See how I got this shade of blue? It's not from a tube. I made it myself. Marcus examined the painting, a street scene that looked remarkably like their neighborhood, but somehow more vivid, more alive. It's beautiful, Mija. She said I have an eye for finding beauty in everyday places. Sophia beamed. Can I keep working with her? Please? She says she can help me put together a portfolio that might even win scholarship money. Marcus pulled out a chair and sat down. What do you think of her? Sophia considered this seriously. She's sad, but not in a way that makes you feel bad. More like, she's been hurt, but she's not bitter about it. And Dad? She talks about you differently than other people do. What do you mean? When people talk about contractors, they usually sound like they're talking about the plumber or the electrician. Like you're just there to fix something and leave. She talks about you like you matter. That night, after Sophia had gone to bed, Marcus sat in his small living room and thought about Victoria's offer. He'd spent 3 years carefully controlling every aspect of their life, afraid that accepting help meant admitting failure. But watching Sophia's excitement about her art, seeing the sketch Victoria had drawn, maybe sometimes accepting help wasn't about weakness. Maybe sometimes it was about recognizing when someone wanted to give you something valuable and being brave enough to let them. You're falling for her. Marcus nearly dropped his hammer. Sophia stood in the doorway of Victoria's renovated office, arms crossed, wearing the expression she'd inherited from her mother, the one that meant she saw right through him. I'm working, Sophia. Not falling for anyone. Dad. Sophia stepped into the room. Yesterday, you spent 20 minutes fixing a cabinet that wasn't even broken, just so you could keep talking to her about art history. Marcus set down his tools. You've been here too. She's helping me with my portfolio, remember? We work here while you finish the upstairs. Sophia perched on the desk edge. She lights up when you walk into a room, and you get this stupid smile whenever she brings you coffee. It's not that simple, mija. Why not? Before Marcus could answer, Victoria appeared in the doorway carrying a tray with 3 mugs. I thought you might want hot chocolate, Sophia. It's getting cold out there. Thanks, Mrs. Sterling. Sophia accepted the mug with the easy affection she'd developed for Victoria over the past month. I was just telling Dad he should ask you to dinner. Sophia. Marcus felt heat rise in his cheeks. Victoria's cheeks turned pink. Oh, not like a fancy restaurant, Sophia continued, ignoring her father's mortified expression. But maybe you could come to our place. Dad makes amazing pernil, and I could show you my new paintings. That sounds lovely, Victoria said quietly. But I wouldn't want to impose. You wouldn't be imposing, Marcus found himself saying. If you want to come. The smile that spread across Victoria's face made his chest tighten. I'd like that very much. 2 days later, Victoria stood in their small Dorchester apartment, admiring Sophia's artwork covering every wall of the living room. These are incredible, she said, studying a painting of their street after rain. You've captured the light perfectly. Dad hung them all up last week, Sophia said proudly. He says our apartment is getting its own gallery. Marcus emerged from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a towel. Dinner's ready. They crowded around the small table, sharing stories over Marcus's slow-roasted pork and Sophia's questions about art school. Victoria fit into their routine as if she'd always been there, helping clear dishes and listening to Sophia practice her Spanish homework. Your grandmother would have loved this, Victoria told Marcus as they stood together in the kitchen, Sophia in the living room working on her portfolio. Maria always said food tastes better when it's shared with people you care about. Victoria's hand found his arm. She was right. The moment stretched between them, charged with something neither had acknowledged aloud. Marcus started to lean closer, then caught himself. Victoria, I should tell you something. About why I'm so careful about this. About us? About letting anyone into Sophia's life. After Maria died, I dated someone for a few months. Sophia got attached, and when it didn't work out, Marcus shook his head. She was hurt badly. I promised myself I wouldn't let that happen again. Victoria's hand moved to his cheek. I would never hurt her, Marcus. Or you. I know. He covered her hand with his. That's what scares me. Dad? Sophia's voice came from the living room. Can Mrs. Sterling see my college application essay? They broke apart, but something had shifted. As Victoria helped Sophia with her essay, Marcus watched them together, Sophia's eager questions, Victoria's patient guidance, and felt a warmth he hadn't experienced in years. Later, as Marcus walked Victoria to her car, she turned to him in the dim glow of the streetlight. Thank you for tonight. I haven't felt part of a family in, well, maybe ever. You are part of our family, Marcus said, if you want to be. Instead of answering, Victoria stepped closer and kissed him. It was soft, tentative, full of question marks and possibilities. When they broke apart, Marcus rested his forehead against hers. Are we really doing this? He whispered. I hope so. 3 weeks later, their quiet happiness shattered with a knock at Marcus's door. The woman on his doorstep wore a stern expression and carried a clipboard. Mr. Rivera? I'm Janet Morrison, from Child Protective Services. We've received a complaint about your living situation and would like to ask you some questions. Marcus's blood turned cold. What kind of complaint? May I come in? Sophia appeared behind him, alarm in her eyes. Dad? What's going on? It's okay, Mija. Go to your room. But now, as the caseworker settled at their kitchen table, Marcus tried to keep his voice steady. What exactly are you investigating? We received an anonymous report suggesting that you've been neglecting your daughter's welfare due to an inappropriate relationship with a client. The complainant alleges that you've been spending nights away from home and exposing your daughter to unstable influences. Marcus felt the world tilt. That's not true. I've never spent a night away except for emergencies, and the report specifically mentions a woman named Victoria Sterling. Are you involved with Ms. Sterling? Yes, but... And has your daughter been spending time with Ms. Sterling unsupervised? Marcus realized the trap. Everything they'd built together, the family dinners, the art lessons, the careful way they'd woven their lives together, could be twisted into something ugly by someone with malicious intent. Ms. Sterling has been helping my daughter with her art portfolio. Everything has been completely appropriate. The caseworker made notes. I'll need to speak with Sophia privately, and we'll be conducting follow-up visits. Mr. Rivera, I'd strongly advise you to consider whether your current relationship is in your daughter's best interests. After she left, Marcus slumped at the kitchen table, his head in his hands. When Victoria arrived an hour later, having rushed over after his panicked phone call, she found him staring at the wall. Marcus? What happened? He told her everything. Victoria listened in growing horror, her face pale. This is my fault, she whispered. Someone's trying to hurt me, and they're using you and Sophia to do. Who would do this? Victoria's expression hardened. I think I know exactly who. I can't see you anymore. Victoria stood in Marcus's doorway, her face pale but resolute. Behind her, December snow fell steadily on the quiet Dorchester street. Victoria, we can fight this together. No. She stepped back when he reached for her. Don't you see? Being with me put Sophia at risk. That caseworker will be back, and next time she might decide Sophia isn't safe with you. Marcus felt his world cracking apart. So Richard wins? He destroys your life, and now he gets to destroy ours too? He's not destroying anything. I'm protecting what matters most. Victoria's voice broke slightly. Sophia needs her father more than I need this. What about what Sophia wants? She loves you. Then she'll understand why I have to go. After Victoria left, Marcus found Sophia sitting on her bed, tears streaming down her face. I heard, she said simply. Are you going to let her just walk away? Sometimes walking away is the brave thing to do, Mija. That's bull. Sophia wiped her eyes angrily. Mom never walked away from anything. She fought for us, for you, for everything she believed in. And now you're going to let some rich jerk tear apart our family? Sophia, she is our family, Dad. Maybe not by blood, but by choice. And you're choosing to give up. The next few weeks blurred together. Marcus threw himself into work, taking every job he could find. But Richard Sterling's influence reached further than he'd imagined. 3 major clients canceled contracts, citing concerns about reliability. Word spread quickly in Boston's tight-knit contractor network. It's not right, Marcus, said Tommy Ricci, his longtime friend and occasional work partner. Everyone knows you're solid. This is something else. Yeah, well, this is something else I can't fight. The CPS follow-up visits continued. Each time, Janet Morrison asked pointed questions about Victoria, about Marcus's work schedule, about Sophia's supervision. The message was clear. End the relationship or risk losing custody. Meanwhile, across town, Victoria had hired a private investigator named Danny Chen, a former police detective who specialized in harassment cases. Your ex-husband has a pattern, Danny told her during their 3rd meeting. I've found 4 other women he's done this to, ex-girlfriends, business rivals, even his first wife. He uses lawyers, private investigators, and his connections to make their lives hell. Can we prove it? I'm working on it. But Victoria, this takes time. And your contractor friend is getting hurt badly while we build the case. Victoria spent sleepless nights knowing that her attempt to protect Marcus and Sophia was failing. Richard's attacks had only intensified after she distanced herself from them. In February, Sophia's art teacher at school called Marcus. Mr. Rivera, I'm concerned about Sophia. Her work has become darker lately. She's always been talented, but these new pieces seem to reflect some real emotional distress. That evening, Marcus found Sophia in her room, working on a large canvas. The painting showed 3 figures walking together on a beach, but one figure was fading away, becoming transparent. It's called leaving, Sophia said without looking up. For my portfolio. Sophia? The admissions counselor said trauma can make art more authentic. Guess I'll have plenty of authentic work to choose from. Marcus sat on her bed. I'm sorry, Mija. I know this isn't fair. You could fix it. How? Sophia finally looked at him. Mrs. Sterling texted me yesterday. Did you know she's been investigating Richard? She's found evidence that he's done this to other people, but she can't use it to help us if we're not talking to her. Marcus's heart jumped. She texted you? We never stop talking, Dad. Someone had to keep track of how miserable you both are. Sophia set down her brush. She loves you, and she loves me. Why is that scary? Before Marcus could answer, his phone rang. The caller ID showed Victoria's number. Marcus? Her voice was shaky. I need to tell you something. Danny found proof that Richard has been bribing Janet Morrison, the CPS caseworker. She's been taking money to build cases against his enemies. Marcus sat down hard. What does that mean? It means the investigation against you was never legitimate. It means we can clear your name and probably get Richard arrested, but I need you to trust me enough to let me help. Marcus looked at Sophia, who was watching him with hope in her eyes for the first time in months. What do you need me to do? Meet me tomorrow, both of you. It's time we stopped running from this fight. The next day, Marcus and Sophia sat in Danny Chen's office as he laid out photographs, documents, and bank records across his desk. Richard Sterling has been systematically harassing his ex-wife for 18 months, Danny explained. He bribed a CPS caseworker, hired private investigators to follow Victoria, and used his business connections to damage your reputation, Mr. Rivera. We have him on corruption, harassment, and fraud charges. Sophia studied the evidence. So we can prove Dad didn't do anything wrong? Better than that, Danny said. We can prove Richard Sterling committed multiple felonies. The district attorney is very interested in our finding. Victoria reached across the table and took Marcus's hand. I'm sorry I tried to protect you by leaving. I should have stayed and fought. You were protecting Sophia. I understand. No, Sophia interrupted. You were both being stupid. But it's okay. We can fix stupid. Despite everything they'd been through, Marcus found himself laughing. Victoria joined in, and soon all 3 of them were laughing together, releasing months of tension and fear. Outside Danny's office, Victoria stopped Marcus before they reached their cars. There's something else, she said. I've been working on a surprise for Sophia. I bought a building in Jamaica Plain. I want to turn it into a community arts center, with classes for kids who can't afford private instruction. Marcus stared at her. Victoria, I want Sophia to help me design the curriculum, and I want you to oversee the renovation. She took a deep breath. If you'll have me back. Marcus pulled her into his arms, right there on the busy Boston sidewalk. We never stopped wanting you back. When they broke apart, Sophia was standing beside them with a huge grin. Does this mean we can be a family again? If you want us, Victoria said. I want us, Sophia said firmly. Now, can we go get dinner? All this family drama is making me hungry. The phone call came on a Tuesday morning in April. Marcus was installing new crown molding in Victoria's kitchen when his phone buzzed with an unknown number. Mr. Rivera? This is Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Walsh. I wanted to personally inform you that all charges and investigations against you have been formally dropped. Mr. Sterling has been arrested on multiple felony counts. Marcus set down his tools, his hands shaking slightly. What does that mean exactly? It means you're completely cleared. The CPS case was fraudulent from the beginning. Ms. Morrison has been terminated and is facing criminal charges herself. Your reputation should be fully restored within the week. After hanging up, Marcus found Victoria in her new art studio, teaching Sophia advanced color theory techniques. They arrested Richard, he said simply. Victoria's paintbrush stilled. It's over? The DA says he's looking at serious prison time. Bribery, harassment, fraud. Apparently, we weren't his only victims. Sophia whooped and threw her arms around both of them. We won! We actually won! We survived, Victoria corrected gently. That's better than winning. Over the following weeks, Marcus watched his business recover with surprising speed. Word spread through Boston's contractor network that he'd been targeted unfairly, and suddenly everyone wanted to hire the guy who'd stood up to Richard Sterling's bullying. 3 new jobs this week, he told Victoria as they walked through the shell of her future community art center, including a historic restoration on Commonwealth Avenue. You deserve it. Victoria stopped in what would become the main classroom. Marcus, I need to ask you something. The seriousness in her tone made him turn to face her fully. What is it? I know we've been taking things slowly, getting back to where we were before Richard interfered. But I need you to know. She took a deep breath. I love you, not just because you're kind or because you're an amazing father. I love the way you see beauty in fixing broken things. I love how you make Sophia laugh. I love that you stayed with me that first night when I was scared and alone. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Victoria, I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know. Instead of answering with words, Marcus pulled a small velvet box from his jacket pocket. Victoria's eyes went wide. I've been carrying this around for 2 weeks, he said, opening the box to reveal a ring with a simple band and a stone that caught the afternoon light streaming through the windows. The center stone is a diamond, but the smaller stones around it are from your grandmother's jewelry that we saved from the flood damage. The jeweler was able to clean them up and reset them. Victoria's hand flew to her mouth. Marcus, I love you too. I love how you see potential in broken things, in Sophia's art, in this old building, in me. I love that you chose to fight for us instead of walking away. He got down on one knee in the dusty, unfinished room. Victoria Sterling, will you marry me? Yes. The word came out as barely a whisper. Then stronger. Yes. Of course. Yes. As Marcus slipped the ring onto her finger, Sophia's voice echoed from the entrance. Finally! I was starting to think you'd never ask her. They turned to find Sophia standing in the doorway with a huge grin, holding her phone up. Please tell me you didn't record that, Marcus said. Maybe just a little, for the wedding slideshow. Victoria laughed, wiping tears from her eyes. Wedding slideshow? Oh, we're definitely having a wedding, Sophia announced. I've already started planning. Mom would have wanted you to have the best party ever. That evening, the 3 of them sat around Marcus's small kitchen table, making lists of wedding plans and dream renovation ideas for the art center. Small ceremony, Victoria said. Maybe 30 people? My whole crew's coming, Marcus said. That's 8 guys right there. Plus my art teacher and Danny the investigator and Mrs. Patterson from downstairs who always asks about you. Sophia added names to her list. We're already at 25 people. Good thing we're having it at the new house, Victoria said. Marcus looked up from his list. What new house? Victoria smiled mysteriously. I may have put an offer on a place in Roslindale. 4 bedrooms, big backyard, needs some renovation work. I thought maybe a certain contractor might be interested in fixing it up. 4 bedrooms? Sophia's eyes lit up. 1 for me, 1 for you guys, 1 for guests, and 1 for a proper art studio, Victoria finished, with north-facing windows and plenty of storage. Marcus shook his head in amazement. 6 months ago, I was afraid to let anyone into our lives. Now I'm getting married and buying a house. Not buying, Victoria corrected. We're buying together. Equal partners in everything. Sophia reached across the table and squeezed both their hands. Mom always said the best families are the ones you choose, not just the ones you're born into. Smart woman, Victoria said softly. Yeah, Marcus agreed, looking around at his small kitchen filled with wedding plans and paint samples and dreams for the future. She was. Outside, spring rain began to fall, but inside their circle of light, the three of them continued planning their future together, no longer afraid of storms or the darkness that lay beyond their door. The ring on Victoria's finger caught the lamplight, its restored stones sparkling with new purpose, just like the family they'd built from the pieces of their separate lives. Dad, your tie is crooked. Marcus stood in front of the mirror in their new Roslindale home, trying to steady his hands enough to fix his tie. Through the bedroom window, he could see guests arriving in the backyard. His work crew setting up tables, Victoria's artist friends arranging flowers, neighbors from both his old apartment and Victoria's Beacon Hill mansion mingling together. I can't get it right, he admitted to Sophia, who looked elegant in her deep blue maid-of-honor dress. Here. Sophia stepped forward and fixed his tie with the competence she'd inherited from her mother. You're nervous, terrified. Good. That means it matters. Sophia stepped back to examine her work. Perfect. Mom would be proud. Marcus felt his eyes water. I wish she could be here. She is here, Dad. She's in the way you love Victoria completely. The way you're not afraid to let someone new into our family. Sophia handed him his jacket. She's in the way Victoria lights up when she talks about you, and the way she never tries to replace Mom, but makes her own space in our lives. A knock at the bedroom door interrupted them. Marcus, you ready? Tommy Ricci's voice carried through the wood. As ready as I'll ever be. Downstairs, the backyard had been transformed. Victoria's artist friends had created an arch of autumn branches and white flowers, while Marcus's crew had built a small platform for the ceremony. Folding chairs arranged in casual rows held an eclectic mix of guests. Construction workers in their best suits, sitting next to gallery owners, Sophia's school friends chatting with Victoria's former students from her volunteer teaching days. Father Miguel from Marcus's church stood at the makeshift altar, smiling warmly as Marcus took his place. Sophia squeezed his arm once before taking her position. Then the small string quartet, music students from the community college where Victoria had started teaching part-time, began to play, and Victoria appeared at the back of the yard. She wore a simple cream-colored dress that moved like water as she walked, her grandmother's pearl necklace at her throat. But it was her expression that took Marcus's breath away. Pure joy, no shadows of her past, just a woman walking toward her future. When she reached him, Victoria took his hands and whispered, Ready for this adventure? With you, I'm ready for anything. Father Miguel began the ceremony with words about love being a choice made new each day, about families formed by commitment rather than just blood. But Marcus barely heard the formal words. He was focused on Victoria's face, on the way she smiled when Sophia stepped forward to read a poem she'd written about second chances and chosen families. The rings, Father Miguel said. Sophia handed them the bands they'd chosen. Simple gold for Marcus, a matching band for Victoria that complemented her engagement ring with its restored stones. Marcus, Father Miguel said, do you take Victoria to be your wife, to love and support her, to build a life together based on trust and partnership? I do. Marcus's voice was steady as he slipped the ring onto Victoria's finger. I choose you, Victoria, today and every day. Victoria, do you take Marcus to be your husband, to love and support him, to build a life together based on trust and partnership? I do. Victoria's voice was soft but clear. I choose you, Marcus. I choose this family we've built together. By the power vested in me by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I now pronounce you husband and wife. The kiss was gentle, full of promise rather than passion, appropriate for the mixed crowd of family and friends. But when they broke apart, the cheer that went up from their guests was anything but restrained. "Ladies and gentlemen," Father Miguel announced, "I present to you Mr. and Mrs. Rivera." The reception flowed seamlessly from ceremony to celebration. Marcus's crew had strung lights through the trees, creating a magical atmosphere as evening fell. Victoria's artist friends had contributed paintings and sculptures that turned the backyard into an outdoor gallery. The food was a mixture of Marcus's Puerto Rican heritage and Victoria's New England traditions, with Sophia's teenage friends helping serve. During dinner, Tommy Ricci stood to give a toast. "I've known Marcus for 15 years, he said, raising his beer. "After Maria died, I thought he'd never smile again." But Victoria brought back his laugh, and more than that, she brought back his hope. "Here's to new beginnings and families that choose each other." "Hear, hear," the crowd responded. Later, as the evening wound down and guests began to leave, Marcus found himself standing with Victoria at the edge of their backyard, watching Sophia teach some younger kids how to make shadow puppets with the string lights. "No regrets?" he asked, wrapping his arms around his wife from behind. "Only that we waited so long to do this." Victoria leaned back against his chest. "Look at her. She's going to be an amazing teacher." Sophia had been accepted to Mass Art with a partial scholarship, but she'd decided to defer for a year to help Victoria get the Community Arts Center fully operational. "I want to learn the teaching side too," she'd explained. "Art isn't just about making it, it's about sharing it." "She gets that from you," Marcus said. "The teaching gene. She gets it from both of us. You taught her that fixing things is an art form too." A comfortable silence settled between them as they watched their daughter, because that's what Sophia was now, legally and emotionally, surrounded by younger kids who hung on her every word. "Mrs. Rivera," Marcus said, testing out the name. "I like the sound of that." Victoria turned in his arms. "What are you thinking about? How different everything is from a year ago. How scared I was to let anyone into our lives. And now I can't imagine living without you." "Storm brought us together," Victoria said, echoing their first night. "Maybe storms aren't always something to be afraid of." "Maybe not." Marcus kissed her forehead. "Maybe sometimes storms bring exactly what you need." As the last guests departed and they cleaned up together, Marcus collecting chairs, while Victoria and Sophia packed away leftover food, the three of them moved with the easy rhythm of a family that had learned to work together. "Best wedding ever," Sophia announced, carrying a stack of plates inside. "You say that, but you've never been to another wedding," Marcus pointed out. "Don't need to. This one was perfect." Later that night, after Sophia had gone to bed and the house was quiet, Marcus and Victoria sat on their front porch, still in their wedding clothes, sharing a piece of cake and watching the stars. "Thank you," Victoria said quietly. "For what?" "For staying that first night. For not leaving me alone." Marcus smiled, remembering the scared woman who'd asked him not to leave her alone in the dark. "I'll never leave you alone again. Promise?" "Promise." Above them, the stars shone down on their new beginning, and in the distance, thunder rumbled, not threatening this time, but like a gentle reminder of the storm that had brought them together. Inside their home, Sophia slept peacefully in her art-filled room, and in the morning they would wake up as a family, ready to face whatever weather came, their way, together. 5 years had passed since the storm that changed everything. Marcus stood in the kitchen of their Roslindale home, watching through the window as Victoria chased 4-year-old Miguel around the backyard, while 2-year-old Isabella clapped from her spot on the grass. The October afternoon was warm, unseasonably so, and the maple tree they'd planted after their first anniversary was finally tall enough to provide real shade. "Dad, can you help me hang this?" Sophia appeared in the doorway, holding a large framed photograph. At 23, she'd grown into a confident young woman, her dark hair pulled back in a paint-splattered bandana, gallery opening postcards stuck to her shirt like badges of honor. "What is it?" Marcus wiped his hands on a dish towel and took the frame. "My latest piece. It sold yesterday." Sophia beamed. The gallery owner said it reminded her of hope. Marcus examined the painting. A family scene set during a thunderstorm. 3 figures huddled together in a warm kitchen while lightning illuminated the sky outside. But instead of looking frightened, the figures seemed peaceful, safe in their shared space. "It's beautiful, Misha. I painted it for you and Victoria. An anniversary gift." Marcus felt his throat tighten. Even after 5 years of marriage, 7 years since that first storm, he sometimes couldn't believe how full their lives had become. Victoria's going to love it. They hung the painting in the hallway, next to photos from Sophia's gallery showings, Miguel's preschool artwork, and Isabella's first handprints. The wall had become a timeline of their blended family, each edition marking another milestone in their shared story. "Uncle Marcus!" 8-year-old Carmen burst through the back door, followed by her younger brother, Luis. They were the children of Marcus's crew chief, Roberto, but they'd become honorary nieces and nephews over the years. "Hey, troublemakers, your dad outside?" "He's helping Mrs. Victoria with the art stuff," Carmen reported. "She said to tell you the food truck is here." Through the window, Marcus could see their backyard filling with familiar faces. What had started as a small family barbecue had grown into their annual neighborhood celebration, bringing together everyone who'd become part of their extended chosen family. Victoria appeared in the doorway, Isabella balanced on her hip, Miguel clinging to her leg. "The community center kids are here," she announced, and Danny brought his whole family. Danny Chen had become more than their former private investigator. He was now godfather to both Miguel and Isabella, and his wife Lisa ran the business side of Victoria's Art Center. "How many people are we feeding?" Marcus asked. "About 40, Victoria said cheerfully. "Good thing Tommy brought his whole crew to help with the grilling." As if summoned by his name, Tommy Ricci appeared in the kitchen. "Marcus, your grill is too small for this crowd. Roberto's bringing his from the truck." The afternoon unfolded with the easy chaos of a well-practiced celebration. Marcus found himself moving between conversations, catching up with former clients who'd become friends, watching Victoria demonstrate painting techniques to a group of fascinated children, listening to Sophia explain her latest art theory to anyone who would listen. "Hard to believe it's been 5 years, said Mrs. Patterson, Marcus's former neighbor who'd become Isabella's honorary grandmother. "Feels like yesterday and forever at the same time," Marcus replied, accepting a plate of food from one of the teenagers who volunteered at Victoria's Art Center. As evening fell and the crowd began to thin, Marcus found Victoria sitting on their front steps, watching Miguel and Isabella play with the other children under the string lights Roberto had helped him install. "Tired?" he asked, settling beside her. "Happy tired." Victoria leaned against his shoulder. "I got the final numbers for the Art Center today. We've served over 300 kids in the past 2 years. That's incredible. Sophia wants to expand the program, maybe add music classes, creative writing workshops." Victoria smiled. "She has her mother's ambition and your work ethic. Dangerous combination." They sat in comfortable silence, watching their children play. Miguel had Marcus's curls but Victoria's artistic eye, constantly arranging toys into elaborate patterns. Isabella was pure Rivera, fearless and loud, already showing signs of inheriting Sophia's fierce independence. "Any regrets?" Marcus asked, the question that had become their anniversary tradition. "Just one," Victoria said seriously. "I wish we could go back and tell that scared woman in the big empty house and that worried single father that everything was going to work out better than they ever imagined. They wouldn't have believed us. Probably not. But maybe they would have worried less." A crash of thunder rumbled overhead, followed by the first drops of rain. The children squealed with delight, running toward the house as parents called them in. "Storm's coming," Marcus observed. Good thing we have a warm, dry house full of people we love, Victoria replied. They gathered everyone inside, the living room and kitchen filling with the comfortable noise of family and friends taking shelter together. Isabella fell asleep in Victoria's arms, while Miguel cuddled against Marcus's side, both children completely unconcerned by the thunder and lightning outside. Sophia appeared with her guitar, leading an impromptu sing-along that had everyone from 4-year-olds to senior citizens joining in. Danny told stories about his detective days. Tommy shared construction mishaps that had everyone laughing, and Mrs. Patterson regaled them with tales of the neighborhood's history. As the storm passed and guests began to leave, Marcus found himself standing in the same spot where he'd first kissed Victoria all those years ago, their kitchen, now filled with the evidence of the life they'd built together. "What are you thinking about?" Victoria asked, emerging from putting Isabella to bed. "That first storm. How scared we both were of everything that was happening. And now?" Marcus looked around their home, Sophia's artwork on the walls, Miguel's toys scattered across the floor, photos of family vacations and birthday parties, and ordinary Tuesday dinners covering every surface. "Now I'm grateful for every storm that brought us here." Victoria moved into his arms, and they swayed together in their kitchen while rain drummed gently on the windows and their children slept safely upstairs. Outside, the storm was already passing, but inside their circle of light and love, Marcus and Victoria held each other close, no longer afraid of the dark or what it might bring. They'd learned that some storms destroy, but others deliver exactly what you need, if you're brave enough to open the door and let love in. In 5 years, they'd built something beautiful from the wreckage of their separate sorrows. A business that thrived, a community arts center that changed lives, children who knew they were loved beyond measure, and a marriage that grew stronger with each passing season. And it had all started with a simple request on a stormy night. "Please, don't leave me alone." Marcus had stayed, and in staying, had found his way home.